The colony of Georgia was a southern colony, and it was located in a coastal area with fertile swamps and forest-covered mountains. The mountainous area was called backcountry because it was cooler and more rugged in the western side. The area was perfect for farming and making plantations, which was the main area for income for the southern colonies. Farmers grew staple crops and crops grown for money. Also, the southern colonies participated in slave trade. The southern colonies differed from the New England and Middle colonies because the New Englanders relied very much on trade overseas. The Middle colonies thrived off of staple crops, while the southern colonies had plantations which brought them wealth. Also, the Middle colonies were mostly made up of Quakers, or the Society of Friends members, and they used trade to their advantage by exporting goods to Britain and the West Indies. In the New England colonies, which consisted of mostly Puritans, trade was very important because they got most of their goods from merchants who traded with other colonies and with countries overseas. Also, they were very skilled shipbuilders and used their ships to trade quickly. Georgia was typical of its southern colonial region because its economy was based on growing cotton, tobacco, indigo, rice, and more crops. Although slave labor was outlawed at the start of the colony, it was later introduced to make more income off of plantations and other farms. However, Georgia was also different because of its founder, James Oglethorpe. In the year 1732, James Oglethorpe requested a charter to start a colony. King George II granted him a charter to start this colony, on one condition, that he named it after him. Oglethorpe's plan was to have a place where debtors, or people who were in prison because they owed money to England, could live without being imprisoned. Oglethorpe wanted Georgia to have small farms, not large plantations ruled by few individuals that needed slaves. Also, he believed in religious toleration, which meant that any religions except for Catholicism were welcome into his colony. Oglethorpe was very friendly with the Native Americans. He became friends with the Yamacraw chief after he helped him settle Savannah, the capital of Georgia. The British government wanted to protect South Carolina from Spaniards from Florida, so Oglethorpe suggested to create a buffer, which is one of the reasons why King George II let Oglethorpe start it in the first place. Trade was important to Georgia because they used triangular trade system, which brought goods like sugar, tobacco, and cotton to Europe, while textiles, rum, and other goods went to Africa, which brought African goods and slaves to America. Also, sugar from the West Indies was brought into the colonies in a triangle formed between them. The 13 colonies in Europe. The Georgia cracker is a term used to describe poor white people in the southern colonies, especially in the rural area. Georgia was a proprietary colony, which means that it was governed by the proprietor, in this case, James Oglethorpe, of the colony. It was also governed by the Georgian landowners who elected representatives to be in the Common House of Assembly. They were also watched over by the trustees and the General Assembly. An event that happened in Georgia was the Yamasee War, which took place between Native American tribes and the South Carolina colony. The Yamasee tribe lived in parts of southern Georgia and built homes near the capital of Savannah on the Savannah River. In Georgia, the climate was hot and humid and nice in the summer, while cold and harsh over the winter. Oglethorpe had created a suitable environment for debtors, yet unfortunately he disagreed with the settlers of Georgia on many things that the debtors were sick of Oglethorpe's strict rules. Eventually, because the debtors wanted to steal the Native Americans' land and make their own rules, they overthrew Oglethorpe. Georgia in 1752 became a colony full of plantations, slaves, and new laws. Our citations for this project include History.com, Wikipedia, the TCI, and Holt Textbook, and the informative student handout. Thanks for listening.